last time, I'm fast prototyping a virtual voice assistant using the Azure OpenAI API. So I received a very good comment from one audience saying like, why not using the open source GPT4All framework to building the same, the POC product. So I think it's a good idea. Today, let's actually have a try to see what the GPT4All can do for us, and what is the features and the unique selling point, and how convenient, how good it is to use. Okay. So compare also with the GPT, large language models provided by the OpenAI Azure. Okay. So from their official website, you can see it's a very concise summary. So it's a free to use, locally running, probably via chatbot, no GPU, no internet required. Basically, it means you can deploy it locally. The running on any like the commercial, the consumer CPU laptop, and you don't need the hardware such as like GPU, and also it can free you any GDPR data privacy and security concerns. That is a very good selling point. And also, it's very straightforward to download and install it, and you can just like install it straight away, following the instructions. So it can do a lot of the jobs for you, such like the question answering, the writing assistant, and also like understanding the document, do the text classifications, summaries, and also write code, auto code generations, and so on. And this is some like the easy to use the instructions to install, and also they provide some performance benchmark. Okay, all these kind of the metrics is actually the different natural language processing the assessment metrics. The higher the better. So at the bottom of our table they have the text DaVinci 003. That is actually the the sibling model to the ChatGPT the 3.5 turbo model. So this is quite a high the accuracy and the good performance. So compare with it, all the like the open source the model so far on the GPT4All is not as good as advanced as it, but actually I think that it's getting closer. For example, this kind of Snoozy value is actually the current the best open source the model not commercially licensable at the moment. So in the GPT4All ecosystem, so you can see, and also like other models such kind of these models, this one is also very good, and so on. Okay, so they're getting better and better, closer to the OpenAI models at the moment. And also this is the enriched documentation and training material. Okay, and all it also explains like what's the objective and the motivation of the GPT4All. That is actually some open source ecosystem which can allow you to train and deploy any powerful and customized large language models applications and running on your local the machine. And also the objective is actually to provide the best the instruction tuned, fine-tuned large language models which are using as like your virtual assistant to for any people, any enterprise. Okay, freely use, distribute, and build on. Okay, so it also the quite like the lightweighted. It's only like about 3 to 8 gigabytes in size, and about like the 6 billion to 13 billion like the parameters for the all the like the large language models, the neural deep neural networks. Okay, so you can just like plug into the the GPT4All in open source ecosystem software and get it up and running. So this is a lot of the models you can choose for. For example, this model, Groovy model, is actually very lightweighted. It's actually give you a fast generation response. However, its accuracy is not very good. This one, Snoozy model, is actually currently give it like a good like the generation quality. However, it's a bit like a slow, the high latency. So we'll give some like a test, in just like minutes. Okay. Besides, you can also have a lot of other models. Okay. And also it actually provides some like open source and the closed source, the database. So this is actually the people contribute to this kind of the open source community. So all this kind of like the latest version of the open source, the GPT4All database is available on the Hugging Face. You can download to training your own model. So that's very good. Also, they have the open source library. So you can see like they got like 45 plus thousands stars. It's very good. So and also they provide some like the direct installers, which you can also conveniently to install the GPT-4 the software onto your local machines. And yeah, this is just straightforward. So that is actually the Z set. It's just like a ecosystem of open source. The on-edge large language models, training, deployment, make everything easy for you. Okay, cool. This is also like some like information you can take a look. Also, this one, the LangChain. LangChain is actually some like the generative, the development framework for you to build any like large language model based, the powerful applications, web services, data services, and products, right? So actually, basically, it's put like everything together, like the props and the large language model together to form like some pipeline, and you can just like to streamline your development and deployment work. So it's getting like popular and popular. It also provides a lot of the utility functions. We can introduce the LangChain in another time. So for now, like the LangChain support a lot of like the hyperscalers and open source, models and the framework, including the GPT4All. Okay, so this is some sample code. You can simply like to reproduce the result running on your notebook. Okay, so this is also very useful. So and actually for today's experiment, so I'm just like to to apply the LangChain and the GPT4All to building my own like the Python script. Okay, so this is my previous script, for my voice, the virtual assistant, where I using the open source, the Python speech recognition, the GCP API for the speech to text, then using the Azure OpenAI for the answers generation, and then using another deep learning text to speech model for generate like the some like the the synthetic artificial voice. Okay, so this script, everything is exactly the same. I just replaced the Azure OpenAI with the GPT-4All open source like the models which are already downloaded and deployed locally. Okay, let's actually do some like a comparison in a minute. Before that, I also want to show you the GPT-4All, the software, the app I already downloaded. So here you can see I already download like the two local, the models. Okay, so the GUI model and Smoothie model. And by the way, if you want, you can download even more models. Okay, so they provide a lot of the models here. And for example, MTP 7 billions chat models available, and they even have such kind of like the ChatGPT 3.5 turbo model and also the GPT-4 model available for you to download. Provided you have your personal OpenAI API keys, then you can just like even using the GPT-4 for the applications. That is looks like amazing. Okay, so and also many other open source models, and so yeah, so this is quite a lot of choices. Quite good. Okay, so let's actually have some quick test. Okay, and let's using this kind of like the fast but like the need be like the low accuracy, the groovy model. Okay, so I already prepared some like some questions. Let me to ask the AI chatbot. Okay, the first thing like I want it to give me some like comparison table between the Microsoft, Google, and IBM in terms of revenues, net income, and the number of employees to see how it can the answer this kind of question, generate some like a nice table or not. Okay, so yeah, just like take some time. Okay, now it's come up. Okay, here's the updated table with the additional info you requested. Okay, company revenue, okay, in billions, okay, profit in billions, okay, employees numbers, okay, as like 2021. Okay, market cap. Okay, it give me something I don't want. Okay, but it look like it just keep generation. Okay, okay. Yeah, you see, like the accuracy of the GUI model is not so good. Okay, that's fine. Let's actually test the next question. Okay, so I'm like the movie, the Lord of the Rings. Okay, do you know the which book it was based on? Okay, okay. Does this open source large language model know anything about this one? Okay, so let's actually to try to using the another maybe better model. Okay, see it can do any better job. Okay, smoothie model. Okay, okay, okay. Now it's reloading to another model. Okay, it looks take quite a while to load in the model because that model is like the 8 GB, you know, the much bigger than that, you know, the smaller model. Okay, now it's finally loaded. Okay, let's see. Okay, so can it this open source model answer my question from the GPT4All framework? My favorite movie is The Lord of the Rings. Do you know any book it was based on? Okay, it's actually generate, you know, just processing my query and try to generate like the text output. Okay, yeah, you see like the speed is bit like slow. Okay, it take a while for it to actually to generate any content. Okay, oh, now it's coming up. Okay, yes, I'm familiar with the Lord of the Rings. Okay, yeah, you know, even if I just like my you know input is not perfect, you know, the Lord of the Rings not it's not the Lord of the Ring, right? It still recognize the, you know, what I mean. Okay, so this is a fantastic, you know, the novel written by the J.R.R. Um, Tolkien. Yeah, it's recognized the authors and published in 3 volumes. Yeah, okay, cool, nice. Okay, from the 1954 to, okay, and also like the years it actually was published to 1950. Okay, okay, nice. So then I ask the follow-up question, which is I will try to test if like this is really like a chatbot, because you know the I I want to see it can like you know remember like the my previous question. I actually using it as like context for like the dialogue, you know, management. So you can see I just asked, can you give an executive summary of the book in 3 sentences? Here, the book, I just mean like the book, you know, the Lord of the Rings, you know, was based on. And if like the uh, GGP for all app don't keep all the like the conversation context, it cannot answer and understand what I mean by the book, right? But you can see now it's naturally it already recognize like the this is like still in the same like a conversation session, right? So it still recognize it is what I'm talking about is the Lord of the Rings. Okay, now it's here is the executive summary of the Lord of the Rings in 3 sentences. Okay, nice. Okay, this is exactly what I want. Okay. The Lord of the Rings is a fantasy novel. Okay, that follows. Okay, Frodo. Okay, Baggins. Okay, I think that it's just like word by word. The prediction and the generation, right? So it's a bit slow and understandable. We're actually running the large language models on our own, like the Nito, laptop. Okay, so yeah, but it's quite nice. It's just like gradually generates like the text, as the next answers. Okay. Yeah, it's a very good summary, or like the what is the mission of like the Fredo, and it's what is the the major like the episode and the characters he encountered and get with the to interact with in the whole journey. Okay. uh, yeah. Okay, I think this is very good summary. The Okay, the second sentence is already the talk like the major like the content. Then the third sentence, the book explores themes of the friendship, loyalty, sacrifice. It's quite like a abstract summary, which like the high level the insight about like the what exactly the author try to actually to tell the people the about all these kind of good point and the essential the message. Brilliant. In three sentences is actually the will actually give some overview of this kind of the novel. Okay, nice. I like it. I think it's quite good. Okay, so I'm quite happy with the performance of this open source in the large language models. Okay, so okay, now going to back to our original question. I said I'm going to compare like for like. My original Python script for my virtual voice the assistant using the Azure OpenAI API and compare it with the GPT4All open source like the models deployed locally. Okay, so let's try it. So okay, this is the first out tries my original like the Python script using the this kind of powerful Cloud Azure OpenAI API for the content generation. Okay, for the answer generation, let's run it. So this is just like a Streamlit, the application. So I using Streamlit, the to quickly convert the any Python notebook into some like the web app, data app, the in just like minutes. So that is very convenient for fast to prototyping. So I already use it in many of my previous videos. Now I think in seconds, so the app will up and running, and I'm going to asking the one simple question to just to give test. What's the biggest city in the world?
The biggest city in the world is Tokyo, Japan, with a population of over 37 million people.
Stop. Stop.
Thank you very much for using GPT-powered virtual voice assistant. See you soon.
Cool. You can see it only takes less than 1 second for the Azure OpenAI API to actually to give me the answers to my this question. Okay, that is very impressive. Let's see like the what our Nito open source model deployed locally on my machine can do. Okay, so let's actually to change to running another script. Okay, to close this one. Okay, right. Okay. Yeah, so this is actually the Python using the GPT4All in the open source model. Okay, let's run it. Yeah, again, it will take like seconds to actually up and running to initialize the Streamlit app. Okay, mainly I want to compare like what is the accuracy and the latency. Okay, between the open source and the hyperscaler model. What's the largest city in the world? You can see it's taking like a bit longer time because we're running on the CPU local machine instead of like the cloud GPU cluster. And also I'm curious, maybe some like the integration between the LangChain and the GPT4All have some issues, make it a bit slower, but we can just like to get to bottom it later on, okay? So for now, let's like observe what could be the actual experiment result regarding the accuracy and the latency of the generation outcome, okay? So still waiting. Now, come on.
The largest city worldwide by population area as of 2021, according to Worldometer's database, is Tokyo, with a total estimated population around 12 million people, as per Wikipedia. https://www.wikipedia.org/.
Stop.
Thank you very much for using GPT-powered virtual voice assistant. See you soon.
Okay, interesting. I think the open source GPT4All model still come up with the correct answer, like the Tokyo, Japan, right? That's correct. But however, I'm not sure if like the 12 million the population number is the correct, because it should be that much more than that. Where I think the Azure OpenAI GPT model gives some like the more accurate answer. So also in terms of latency, so we can see like the Ether is a much high latency, right? So the Azure OpenAI API just like take like less than 1 second. This one 41 seconds, okay, much slower. So and but of course, that is not a fair comparison, right? We know it's actually running on my, the CPU, the consumer laptop, rather than on the cloud power for, the cluster or the GPUs, right? So, and also I do believe like all this kind of like the, you can deploy this kind of open source model free, the totally on your local machines, free or any like the, data privacy security concerns. And this is also like a strong, the selling point. And also I quite happy with such kind of like the initial, the performance, and it look like some potentials, the we can do, to keep an eye on this kind of the open source community evolutions. And I'm also looking forward to using some open source, the framework like this uh, GPT4All into building my some like interesting like the little virtual assistants and the AI powered apps in near future. So yeah, looks very good and very interesting. So just give some quick testing and comparison and between the Azure OpenAI service and also this kind of open source, GPT4All, the framework. So hope you already learned something today, and I'm going to try to bring the more like the latest, the trends in the era of the generative AI. So okay, last all, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and talk to you soon next time. Thank you.